Today on Tight Loops, Tight Lines, we're taking you to fish the waters of Portland Creek in search of early season Atlantic salmon. We're on the northern peninsula of Newfoundland, on a river made famous by salmon angler Lee Wolf back in the 1940s.
We'll be fishing the runout of Portland Creek Pond, only about a mile from the ocean. This is one of the first places Atlantic salmon will hold on their journey to the spawning grounds. We'll be based out of Mountain Waters Resort on Portland Creek. Over the next few days, we're going to fish the incoming and outgoing tides in hopes of running into some early season Atlantic salmon.
There are so many salmon rivers here in Newfoundland and Labrador that even after fishing for years, you can still find new water to explore. I've never fished here. It's exciting. I actually think that the water looks really nice and it's cold. So this is the coldest water that I fished in all year. And I have a really good feeling about this river. In between the gusts of wind, I can get a cast out. Rumor has it, this is where wind is made.
If you fish Portland Creek, you know it's a place where good casts go to die. It's always a battle with the wind here.
It's nice to get that little break and just kind of watch the water, and you get a chance to like size it up and look for the seams and see if there's any rocks breaking or see if you see any fish. Surprised if Terry doesn't get something out there. Oh, we got one. He netted himself. I'll hold it, you get the...
Talk about a fresh fish.
Yeah, I didn't want to get wet like that.
Oh, he took good though. But that is a fresh fish.
Yes, he's so cool.
Beautiful looking fish though. Try not to touch him. I don't think we need to touch him to release him. We can just open the net and let him. I think he's ready in this cold water.
Yes, I think so too. They recover so quick in the cold.
They do.
I'm just going to dip the net down.
Yep.
And we won't even...
See if he'll just swim right out.
Oh, I think the net's actually in this little net. Can't eat the net, buddy. Yeah, he's gone. That's awesome.
Good job.
Yeah, way to go. That was a fresh fish.
That was a really fresh
Holy
fish.
cow, it was glowing.
He took like really aggressive. I almost pulled the rod out of my hand, so that was good. But he is a bullet. Like that's as fresh as you're going to get him. I mean, we're only a mile from the ocean, so.
We've been making a conscious effort over the last few years to improve our catch and release abilities. We're ambassadors for Keep Fish Wet, which is a science-based organization that we feel offers the best advice on catch and release. We are at Portland Creek on the northern peninsula in Newfoundland. This is a spot where Lee Wolf came to salmon fish.
Yeah, back in the mid-40s, he was actually commissioned by the Newfoundland government to come up and promote the island for sport fishing. He was an American angler. I think he was well known in the States prior to coming to Newfoundland.
Yeah, and Lee Wolf had a really strong belief in catch and release. He was a huge conservationist and kind of...
Yeah, he was like the father of catch and release, even though it's been around for like since the 1800s maybe.
Yeah.
But he was the one that really pushed it. He really opened up the island when it came to sports fishing. I guess he was someone that everyone really looked up to.
And still to this day.
What he embodied is probably what everyone tries to achieve now in salmon fishing, or at least what we do. When he came here and set up camps, he hired all local guides, and he brought a lot of economy into the area, and I think probably helped a lot of local guides get really good too and understand the fish a bit better. The water at Portland Creek has been low so far, especially for this time of year. But after a quick rainstorm passes through, the river begins to rise and it stirs up the fish. That was quick.
It was so quick.
Looks like a beautiful fresh growth.
Good. I'll stay in here.
Yep, you're good. Hopefully we can get them in.
Where are you, little fish? Nose up. Oh, almost.
With this glare, I'm actually really struggling to see the fish.
Oh.
Even with Polaroids. This early morning glare.
Yeah. Let's try that again.
So when you get him coming, try to get his head up so I can see him.
Come here,
We
fishy.
should be good.
Okay, it's coming.
He's coming.
And nose up. Oh, I think. No.
This time.
Oh, shoot. Gone.
Ah, it's a good start to the day.
That's an amazing start to the day.
Let's hope the next one stays long enough to get a net on her.
That's right. It is perfect release, though. Oh,
It was a perfect release. Days like this, I'd look for whatever I think is the ugliest thing in my case. That any respectable fish would have no reason to think about.
So the problem we have right now is that there are too many fish. No, that's not a problem. It's that the fish are there and there's lots of them. They're showing themselves, they're jumping, they're porpoising right in front of us, but they're not taking the flies. So Terry's gonna put on the ugliest fly. I have the bumblebee on. And then I can kind of fish it dry and then let it swing through as a wet fly. And then we're basically going to change flies every couple minutes to try to find something that works for these picky moving salmon.
It's good to see so many fish though.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I think it was Lee that actually first started talking or introduced the world to the Portland Creek hitch. And that was used by local fishermen here. Because at that time, back in the 40s and 50s, the flies were made, they were steel, but the eyes were made out of catgut. So it was a brittle material, and if it was used any amount of time at all, it would wear out and break, or close to break, and the sports would stop using it and use a new fly. And they'd give these older flies to the guides, the local guides, And they knew they couldn't use them either, so they would tie to the eye, but then they would put a half hitch around the head. So that would secure the fly, but it also made the fly swim in the current a different way, and it kind of waked and rode up on the surface.
This is the Portland Creek hitch. So you face your fly upriver, and then whatever side of the fly that you're standing on where you're fishing, that's the side that you want to tie the hitch so that it's facing towards you. So you basically just take your leader and you make a little loop, and then you put it down over the top of the fly and you pull it tight. So now the leader is coming out from the side of the fly, and it helps the fly ride up towards the top of the surface rather than sinking down a little bit. And it just kind of creates that little bit of enough of a disturbance in the water that the fish really start to notice it.
For more tips on fly fishing for Atlantic salmon, visit our website at tightloopstightlines.com.
Always important. Okay, so we're gonna get some spruce tips. So the new growth on the spruce trees is really tender, and it has an interesting and unique and delicious taste. Yeah, so this is a spruce tree. So see how like the tips are light and the inside is dark? So the light stuff is the new growth, and you can kind of pinch some of that off. And it's got like a really nice smell, and when we grind it down, it won't be so, the pieces won't be so big. Sweet kale is just this, look, here it is right here, and it grows on the sides of rivers and lakes around Newfoundland, and it doesn't have like a whole lot of smell, but it's really nice, and you can use it dried. But I'm just gonna pick off some of this tender little growth. We're cooking cod tonight, and we've got some sweet gale and some spruce tips. We're gonna add some salt to it, and I'm just gonna make a little bit of seasoning for the cod. So I'm gonna kind of just grind it up a little. I'm gonna make a cilantro crema and add that to the top of the cod with a bit of coleslaw mix, like cabbage and grated up carrots, that sort of thing. The rain started, so we've just shifted locations. So I've got these cod loins, and I'm just gonna lay them out in the frying pan. And now we're just gonna add a little bit of salt to each of these pieces of fish. The fish is local Newfoundland cod, wild caught, and it's really tasty. Now we're just gonna put a little bit of this greenery on the cod, and then we're gonna let it sit for a little bit. So I'm gonna put some, just a little bit of pepper on these now. I picked some cilantro and chives from the garden before I came up to make the crema with, and just for a topping. I'm gonna make a cilantro crema here. I'm using mayo, sour cream, lime juice, zest of lime, some garlic, cilantro, and chives. I cook almost every time that we're fishing because it's really hard to eat on the road, especially in these remote locations. So the best thing is to bring your own food, and if you don't have time to prepare it ahead of time, then just bringing it with you and cooking while you're on the river is really nice and so relaxing. Way nicer than cooking in the kitchen. We're gonna give this all a good stir. And then we're gonna let it sit while we cook our fish. Terry usually helps with the cooking, but when the fishing is tough, it's even harder to get him off the water. He always says, you learn the most when fishing is tough.
Early season, the salmon enter on the rising and falling tides, and every tide has a different amount of fish showing up, but they move through quickly. Sometimes it's a waiting game, and enjoying a meal together is a great way to pass the time.
So we have pan-fried some fresh local cod with spruce tips and sweet gale that we picked on the side of the river. We have a cilantro crema, some coleslaw, and some chopped cilantro and chives, and just like a little squeeze of lime over the top. Fold it up, and it's absolutely fresh and delicious.
Smells incredible. Oh my, it's really good.
You seem so surprised.
I am. It's really good. Good job.
For more information on fly fishing in Newfoundland and Labrador, visit tightloopstightLines.com.
While we've been here, the rain has been on and off, and heavy at times. The river has risen a foot at least. The fish are moving through really fast right now. Fresh. That should be pretty close to it.
Woohoo! Hey.
He's got some marks on him, Nick. Fly out?
No. Yes.
Little.
Very nice.
He's got
a mark on it.
a mark like a net or something. Got a beautiful grills.
Wow. Fresh, the scales are coming right off.
Yep.
I'll get it down the water and I'll hold the net. And you've got the fish. She's so good.
God, they're fresh.
Yeah, they're so,
You know,
they're
well,
straight in
we're
right
only
off the
a
ocean
kilometer
there.
from the ocean, but these are like brand new fish.
Yeah, they're not holding up here at all. They're
Nah,
just
they're
running
big.
straight
right
through.
now, anyway, they're not.
No.
They're just passing through.
Yeah.
He came here all alone until...
His last trip here, he brought his wife.
Yeah, well,
Joan.
but she was actually a really good fisherman in her own right and a champion caster.
Really, she was amazing. Joan Wolfe is basically the most wonderful woman of fly fishing. She's definitely been an inspiration for women coming into the sport. Joan Wolfe and Lee started a fly fishing school down in Catskills, New York. When I was doing my own casting certification, I watched her and learned a lot from her teaching techniques. She's not a very big woman, a little tiny frame, and just able to get that fly line out there. So coming into the sport, when it was primarily men that we were watching around here, and then to look at this woman, this little tiny woman, being able to outcast all of the men around her, I knew at that point that it was a technique thing, it didn't matter how big your muscles were. And that really it was just so nice to know that it didn't matter where you came from or what your abilities were, is that if you learn the technique, then you can succeed and excel in sport. It's very windy here today. White caps coming up the river, and one really useful technique to use when there's a lot of wind is the double haul. So the double haul increases your line speed, and it will allow you to cut through that wind a little bit more. So what you're going to do is haul 2 times for every cast. So on your back cast, you're pulling away and meeting your hands together. On your forward cast, you're pulling your hands away and meeting your hands together. And it's really going to speed up the line speed for you and allow you to cast out even further than you would normally be able to when there's a lot of wind coming at you.
Few fish coming there now, though.
Yeah, there is.
I'm after rising like 3 or 4 there. Bang, bang, bang. But only one rise and they're gone. I haven't had one come back.
Oh my geez, that fish, there's fish there that are taking my breath away. They're stunning. The backs on them, they're like turtles.
There you go.
Good here?
Yep. Good job. Fresh as a daisy. That's why they're moving, though. They're only coming once.
Fly out. Perfect.
It's a beautiful fish.
Yeah, she's so nice. She doesn't want me to touch her. Okay. We're ready.
Awesome. Good job.
That's so nice. Mountain Waters has been the ideal location for fly fishing at Portland Creek. This may have been my first time here, but it certainly won't be our last. Thanks for sharing the pool with us.